yourself set up. We're going to start seated on our knees. So take your time. I've been in this room for a couple hours today, so most of it's been meditating and journaling. And it seems to me that sometimes that's the only thing we can do when the world seems a little bit crazy. Just when we thought it couldn't get much crazier, it did anyway. Big breaths in, big breaths out. So learning to control our breath and being in the moment through our breath, a lot of what yoga is, especially for me. It's a breath-centered practice, and that's when I realized it was so much different than other forms of exercise that I was doing. So we're going to start comfortably seated on our knees. I'm going to start with the heels together and seated on the heels. And if this doesn't work for you, you can put a pillow under your bum or under your ankle. Really try and keep the knees together, but don't force it. If yours roll out, that's okay. Just be aware. So it might be a bone structure issue for your body that's quite normal and natural, but don't force it. Try to keep the heels together and pin them under the sit bones. Will eventually happen, unless you're just naturally built for that, and then you can pin them down. Otherwise, the heels are going to slide out a little. And if this is super easy for you, you can sit between the heels, but there's something magical about sitting on the sit bones and having the heels push up there that's going to help with our digestive system. And I hear from a lot of people, most of us are probably overindulging in yummy foods because we're cooking. Probably, if you're like me, watching a little bit more TV than you're going to let your hands rest comfortably in your lap, left hand on the bottom, right palm on top, thumb tips touching. This is a mudra that completes our energy circuit in the body, your body. So maybe you take a few moments to focus on your hands and the feeling you're getting in your palms. Since we're not taught as children to feel our energies, it can be new to us at any age. But our energetic body is real and it radiates all the way up to 7 feet away from us. As you settle into your seat, allow your shoulders to relax a little down your back. And as your breath begins to move on its own, let it come in through the nose and go out through the nose. Relax your jaw. Relax your belly. Relax your knees and your ankles. Make any adjustments you need to now. For the next few minutes, this will be your time to go inside. It's so valuable when we give ourselves that opportunity to be still in our body, because it does calm our mind. Before the mind can calm, a lot of thoughts are going to rush through. The mind is something like a spoiled child, and if you stop paying attention to it, it's just going to get annoying. So I'm going to suggest you pay attention to your thoughts if they continue to come. What are they? Is it something your mind is addicted to thinking about? Is it something you're trying to avoid and it pops up when you're still? Once you give it attention, see if you can let it go. And when it comes back, smile and try again. If you shift from thinking into discomfort in your body, it's just a way to pull you out of your meditation. Acknowledge the discomfort and then breathe into it. To bring yourself back to this present moment. Begin to notice your breath. If it got shallow, re-deepen. If you need to get off your knees or your ankles for a few moments, come forward to hands and knees. And maybe take a couple cat-cows. But we're going to come back to this seat. So if you need to take a break, we've been here for about 4.5, 5 minutes. You can click the heels together, work it out. When you get back to the seat, no rush. If you left it. We're going to start with hands at heart center. Try to get some music back on. So when we bring the hands to heart center, fingertips pointing up. See if you can let each one of the finger pads touch. Thumbs right in front of the heart, maybe even touching your sternum as you bow your chin in, just so slightly. To honor that light inside of you. Bow to your own greatness. Oh yeah, I've got new yoga friends. They don't know the rules yet though. So. Set an intention for your practice. Let it come from your heart. Once you have your intention set, we're going to turn our fingertips forward and then reach your fingers straight out from our body. Keep the palms together. That's going to be the trick. Sit up tall and put your shoulders away. Take a few breaths here. So as we move into June, my intention is breathe in love, breathe out kindness. It's an oldie but a goodie because it produces great results every time it's tried. On your next inhale, see how high you can lift your hands with the palms staying together and keeping your elbows straight. So they might not go straight overhead, but then I want you to arch your back like you're coming into cow pose and lengthen through your spine, through your sternum. And then when you exhale, bring the hands back out in front of you and round your spine like in cat pose. Sit back a little on your heels, and if they're stretching out enough, maybe you can even lift your knees. Inhale, come back up. Make it a cat pose. A cow pose, and then exhale into your cat. And let's keep it simple. You guys can figure this one out. A few more rounds with the palms together. Breathing deep as you let each inhale expand your rib cage. As each exhale contract your abdominal wall. Take 2 more rounds. Noticing anything that's sticky. Breathe into that. Anything that's fluid, try to create more space. 1 more up. When you exhale into the cat, I want you to take your arms out into T. And when you inhale, lift the arms overhead. You can bring the palms together or keep them apart. And as you exhale, take the arms in T. Take it into your cat. And inhale, take it up for the cat. You got a few more. Noticing the difference between arms together and then arms apart. Well, try arms apart in that cow now too. Don't take them overhead. Just go back and forth. Out in T. As if you could bring the backs of your hands together behind you. So it's not about squeezing the shoulder blades. It's about opening the sternum. Stretch. And just by nature, the shoulder blades have to come together. Don't let that be the focus. 2 more. But let them link with your breath. Have you built your bigger, deeper diaphragmatic breath yet? If not, let these cat-cows be that part of your breath center journey. Breathe in love. Breathe out kindness. When you finish your last one, bring your right hand down next to your right hip, thigh, knee, and stretch the left arm overhead. Side bend as you stretch your side body. Gaze can look down at the floor, forward, or up. Shoulders slide into your socket. Really extend through the little intercostal muscles in the rib cage. You might even let your left hip start to slide out to the left a little. Be exploratory. Don't feel like a statue cast in stone. Let that inquisitive nature of your body begin to help you. When you inhale, come back up through center, and then exhale, take the side bend to the left. And we spent several breaths listening to me talk. Take about 5 of those breaths on this side. Just feel. If you get the look of shadow dancing, use your wall shadow to help you stay in alignment. Every once in a while, peek. You're beautiful. Take a look and see what you're doing. Inhale, come back up through center. And then exhale, come forward to hands and knees. Now you can push right back into child's pose, or for me, I needed to walk my knees back a little bit. You could take some cat-cows here. You could push up into down dog. We're going to take about 10 breaths. Notice how different the cat-cows are when you're on your hands and knees versus seated. If you've got one of those desk jobs and you're working from home and you're doing a lot of keyboarding or holding your devices, turn those wrists around. Fingertips face your knees. Get your carpal tunnel stretch and your forearm opening on. You can do one hand at a time. And just because mine go all the way around doesn't mean yours will. Be kind to your forearms and your carpal tunnels as you stretch out and strengthen your hands as well. Feel free to toss in a couple C shapes. You could also turn the tops of the hands down and the palms up. Now, we're not supporting a lot of weight here, so be kind as you stretch out this way. It's more about getting your whole hand down than putting weight on it. So to me, this one is a tricky one if your energy level's low. Don't hurt yourself. It's not that important. What's important is to stay connected to your breath and start to feel how this process moves through your entire body. Peeling away layers. If you're in child's pose or down dog, join us in table. If you're in table, we're going to take our right leg out behind us, extend through the heel and really push. You can keep your shoulders over the wrists and push, or you can push into your hands and lean into the ball of the foot and push with the heel. You can even pick that left knee up off the ground if that's gentle for you. 2 more breaths as you extend. Engage your thighs and see if you can really push that spot behind your knee all the way up to the ceiling. Pull your belly button in towards your spine as you inhale and lift your heel up to the ceiling. Point the toe and reach back, and then flex the foot and reach with the bottom, the instep, and the ball of the foot. So if you're really tight in the hamstrings, a pointed toe is going to be a little better. And if you're pretty open, you're probably going to need the flexed and pointed foot variation to get your leg to activate. So use the one that's right for you. 2 more breaths, just holding that heavy leg out there. And if you'd like to get your left arm involved, pick that up too and make it spinal balance. We're going to take 5 to 10 crunches. So maybe 3 is better. So I'll let you decide as you pull nose, knee, and elbow underneath and round. And then inhale, extend, and lengthen. The left hand can always come down to the ground for support. And you can always take it out into fire hydrant for intensity. But I'll remind you that it's gentle yoga this morning. So we want to gently get strong and flexible. We've got 1 more round if you're on my crazy count. We're going to extend the right leg behind, left hand comes down, and then we're going to step the right foot up between the hands. We're going to reach the right arm forward, roll that wrist around. It supported our body weight for a while, and it might need some releasing. Thumb is going to go up, pinkies down. Take a breath to feel how you're supported between your hand, your foot, and your knee. And then see if you can push into the tops of the toes of your supporting left foot. You could even have the toes curled under here. So once again, it'd be exploratory. Reach the right fingertips all the way up to the sky now. Turn the palm out so it's facing the right side of your mat. Lengthen through your neck. No noodle heady. Don't crunch your shoulders, but think about how long can you make your spine, and then look up at your thumb. Now, for a lot of people, a tendency, they think they're getting more when they wing their arm out, but you're getting an awkward stretch in your shoulder. So to rotate open, you want to rotate from the ribs, and you can always see your nose, your thumb over your nose. And when you can rotate far enough to do that, then the arm wings out. So just pay attention to your habits and where your body wants to go. Because I know a lot of us want to go there, myself included. So if that feels good, you're getting a good armpit stretch, just be aware. Just be aware. One more great big breath in this twist. See if you can pull back with your right hip a little bit. Breathe deep. As you exhale, we're going to bring that hand down inside the foot. We're going to spin the left arm open. So we're going to rotate the other way. We're still keeping the hips square, or trying. We'll pull back with the left hip a little bit. Gaze goes up and we're trying to find the thumb. And if this is easy for you, maybe you begin to pull that arm behind your back and start to find your right hip socket. Now don't drop your shoulder to do that. Remember, we're still rotating the chest up. It's a twist. This is a good place to practice this bind. So if you want to reach under with your right arm and grab your left fingers, go ahead. But if there's too much struggle there, let that go. And we don't want to struggle. Sometimes just because you can do something doesn't mean it's the best for your body. I'm getting more out of just having my hand behind my back, pulling with the right hip. So you have to be in charge of knowing what's working best for you. Let the left hand come back up if it's behind your back or bound. Both hands are going to come down and we're going to surround the right foot. We're just going to start to lunge forward and back. So if you need to adjust your back knee placements, taking it back a little bit, or putting it under your hip, go ahead. So some of you might come all the way forward and let your hips come towards the ground and hold for a breath. Some of you will push all the way back into a half splits variation and hold for a breath. Today for me, it just felt really good to go back and forth. So you've got, let's go 4 more breaths. So if you're rocking back and forth, you get 4 more times. Or you've got 3 breaths on each side. Can you let the movement and the breath be one? Good. Now that you've had motion there, are you going to get more for your bang by coming forward into the lunge or leaning back and getting into the hamstring? So, front hip flexor or back hip flexor? Once you pick, 5 full breaths. Let your belly swell on the inhale. And control the release on the exhale. Notice if you're jumping weight. If so, where? And then why? Are you tensing? Are you feeling yourself struggle against the pose? If so, can you release that? If not, why? One more full round of breath. And then I'm going to suggest either tabletop, child's pose, or down dog. You can step the knees back and decide what you need from there. Lately, I don't know if it's because I've been walking more or sitting more, but down dog has just been a fantastic stretch. So if you like down dog and it's not quite gentle for you, you can always make it shorter and wider. And dogs come in different shapes and sizes, so don't think you have to have one specific down dog for all your yoga practices. That's the beauty of yoga asana. We can use it to fit our needs. and match the needs of our bodies at all stages of our lives. We're going to come to hands and knees again if you're not there, and extend the left leg out behind. Push through the ball of the foot and really extend. So that feels good. You stay there. If you need to add a little more pep in your step today, you're going to pull the right knee in and push out through the left heel. But remember, that should be gentle, or a place you're working too gentle. One more breath, extending through the back of your leg, trying to get that spot behind your knee to lengthen. And then as you inhale, pick that heavy leg up. Make sure you're engaging your navel. Inner thighs are coming closer together. Point the toe, and then flex your foot. You can even roll the ankle. I know we didn't do it on the other side, but that's okay. And then push out through the heel, and then pull your femur bone back into its hip socket. Level the hips. Reach the right arm out if it's leaving the ground, and take a few breaths in spinal balance. Notice where the weight gets shifted between your left hand and your right leg. It's 5 to 10, or as many as you can do, spinal crunches. Spinal balance crunches. So not only are we working on strengthening the core by crunching, you're strengthening your psoas muscle by lengthening and then pulling back in, and then we're balancing. So this makes it awkward and challenging. And we're using both sides of our brain, so it's making you smarter. Connecting neurological pathways between the right and left hemisphere when we use opposite sides of the body. I'm going to say one more if you're on my count. And it's okay for it to get challenging, even and gentle. You just need to know when to call it. The right hand's going to come down so we can step the left foot forward. And the left wrist might be tired, so we're going to reach the left hand out in front once you're stable on your foot and your knee. And then if you want to roll it around or shake it out, thumb up, pinky down. Take a breath to get stable. And then inhale, reach the left arm all the way up over your head. Stacking the ribs, leveling the hips, reaching from crown of the head to tailbone. How long can you make your spine? And then as you keep rotating open, how far can you go and still see your thumb? And are you dumping all your weight into your right hand, or can you start to feel the lift coming out of it? If not, start working towards that. Maybe you'll even come up onto the fingertips. And one day, maybe you'll just float that hand. One more big breath. Shoulders down, belly in. And as you exhale, we're going to bring the left hand down inside the foot. Snuggle up shoulder and knee for support. And then reach the right arm out and then up. And rotate open on this side. It might feel very different than the other side. So this is big for our diaphragm. As if we're shallow mouth breathers, we're not getting the diaphragm to expand completely, and it can seize up. It gets really tight in the side body. So breathe deep. Oh yeah, we played with taking the arm behind the back and the bind. So feel free to play with that for a few breaths. And I didn't mention it on the other side because it wasn't quite there for me. But on this side, I can actually use my hands as leverage to help keep the left hip from flaring out. And I'm getting a really nice deep stretch in the inner thigh. That's where I'm feeling it. Take a few breaths to notice where you're feeling it. Breathe into it. See if you can release it. If you're bound, you'll release the bind. Bring both hands down and surround the foot. And we go back and forth for about 8 to 10 breaths. So we started just by shimmying forward and back, just as big as your body goes today. It could be really subtle. It could be very tiny. You might have got a good night's sleep and plenty of hydration. You're feeling really open today, so your movements might be quite big. Just breathe in love and breathe out kindness. And say you have about 2 to 3 more breaths moving. I know you're gonna choose where you want to hold for about 4 or 5 breaths. So if you want to keep moving, keep moving. If it's the hamstring you need to stretch, or the front of the psoas and you want to hold, you take a few breaths holding. And once again, when you finish your breath, so I think you've got maybe 2 more, we'll meet in table, child's pose, or down dog. Take this opportunity to connect your breath and your body and your intention. Once we start moving, we tend to focus on the movement. Staying connected to all of it. That's where some of the practice is. One more big breath, wherever you're resting. And then we're slowly going to make our way to standing at the front of the mat. Give yourself a few breaths to get there. You might need the half lift and the fold. We've been down low to the ground from the first half of class, so as you come up, especially if you have blood pressure issues, be mindful. If you feel woozy, widen your stance, open your eyes. Otherwise, close your eyes. Bring your hands to heart center. Push the ground away with your feet. Engage your belly. Relax your shoulders. And if you can close your eyes, close your eyes. You could also bring your hands down next to your hips if you feel more stable there. But we're going to take 5 breaths just standing. And if you can do it with your eyes closed, do it. I want you to feel how you sway on your feet and how big some of those sways can be. I'm going to follow my breath measure, but if you're not ready to move, your next inhale, we're going to take those prayer hands right up overhead. The elbows bend, that's fine. Reach up, lengthen, get tall. Shoulders get put away. Strong in the belly on the release. And as you exhale, bring the hands down to your hips. Come up onto your right big toe. Then we're just going to extend the foot out in front of us, just just an inch or two off the mat, maybe 4. I don't know, you can go as high as you want. I'm gonna step back a little bit. We're gonna do a little seat of Isis. We haven't done that one in a while. It's balancy and it's lungy in the legs. So leg is lower than the hips. Push out through the ball of the foot. Get your leg as long as you can. And then step down onto the ball of the foot and come up onto the ball of the back foot. So now we're balancing. If you're okay here, you're going to reach your arms out in front of you. Shoulders get put away. Belly strong. And then bend both knees at the same time and keep your shoulders over your hips. It's not about your knees touching the floor. If yours do, great. But it's about bending both knees at the same time. And then lifting. So we're going to go up and down 3 more times. Keeping the weight even between both feet. I could feel myself dumping the weight into the front foot to make it easier. And on your last time down, we're going to hold it in the down position. Shoulders relax. Equal weight in both feet. Try to pull your knees together. 2 more big breaths. It's a great one for strengthening the psoas. Go ahead and inhale, straighten the legs. Step back onto your left foot. See if you can pick the right foot up. This time, how high can you pick it up? You can bring your hands back to your hips or take them up overhead. Give yourself 3 more breaths. You fall down, get back up. We fail far more than we succeed. And we'll beat ourselves up every time we fail, but we very, very infrequently give ourselves accolades for success. So let us change that up. Celebrate your failure. As you exhale, you'll slowly bring your foot down and your hands to your hips. The left leg might need to be shaken out, wiggle the figure 8s with your hips. But as you allow the weight to shift, you're going to come up onto the left big toe first. I almost forgot that part. And then extend out through the ball of the foot. So we're lengthening the leg as much as possible. Try to turn all 5 toes to the ceiling. That engages the inner thigh. Breathe deep. 1 more breath. And then we step forward onto the ball of both feet. So wobbly maneuver there, so smile. Arms go out in front or stay on your hips. Take a few breaths just to get stable. And then we bend both knees at the same time. Keep hips, shoulders, everything square and equal weight in both feet. So become aware of which foot you want to dump extra weight in. Becoming aware of our habits is the first step in changing them. The side can feel very different or very similar. I'm going to suggest 3 more because this one feels really different to me. Feels like my right leg needs more work. When you finish the last one you're going to do, we're going to hold in the down position. Equal weight in both feet. Let it get warm. 1 more. And then stand tall. Slide in. Pick up that foot. Point or flex. I pointed on the first round. On the other side, so I'm going to point on this one. Hands out in front, hands to hips. Try not to lean backwards. 2 more breaths. And then we'll step both feet together. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, bend your knees so you can plant your hands and then step back to the table. Take the knees out wide and push it into child's pose. And once you get to child's pose and you're feeling the breath moving in and out, reconnect to your intention. How do you feel about balancing? How did that work for you? And we're going to lift up just enough so we can take the right arm and slide it underneath the left and come onto the shoulder, or thread the needle in child's pose. So you can keep the hips low or you can lift them up. You can rock them back and forth and find like the sweet spot, like, oh, there it is, right there. Your right palm could be up or down. Neck is soft. Breathe into the rib cage. Exhale deeply with the belly. See if you can surrender into this for 2 more breaths. With a loving inhale, you'll release the binds. Reach the arm out in front. If you need to spin it out to the side, go ahead. Otherwise, we're just switching sides. And hopefully you didn't put yourself in such an intense place that you couldn't manage with your breath. As we work emotions out of our body, sometimes they get stuck. It's uncomfortable. We need a release. As you settle into side 2, breathe deep into your back body. 2/3 of our respiratory system is in our back body. Begin to let effort creep out. Let this become as passive as you can. Two more releasing breaths. When you come up out of that, you're going to move into puppy next, but I don't know if you're going to be ready to go. So give yourself time to unwind, say rehab from that pose. Hi, Charlie. Otherwise, to get into puppy, we come into table, put the knees under the hips, and start to walk the hands out in front so we can drop our chest in. So it's like a puppy play bow. Maybe your chest comes all the way down. Maybe your chin or your forehead does. Maybe you have a pillow under your chest, or your forehead's down and your chest is nowhere near the floor. And for those of you who are really bendy here, this one's a tough one for me to model, but you can bend your elbows and touch your shoulders. Put your hands in prayer over your head. The important part is the opening in your thoracic spine, the part between your shoulder blades, your upper ribs. The release across the front of your sternum and the lengthening of your belly. Just a few more breaths. If you got one more breath in you, you take it. We got a dog party going on in here now. They heard something about puppies and play bowing. You're going to slowly lift yourself up and walk your hands back under. Walk your knees together, heels together, and sit back on your heels. Let your arms and your spine just kind of settle for a breath or two. Then we'll slowly walk our hands back behind us. And this might be your back bend, and it could feel lovely. And if you have to take your knees further apart, allow them to come apart. If you can lift your hips off your heels, lift your hips. If you get an uncomfortable pull in your knees, take it back down. That's usually a sign that something's off in your hips. So try the knees wider. Maybe the feet need to go wider. So be a little exploratory. Don't hurt yourself. Try to stretch, but be aware of what the body is sharing. And if this is super easy for you, you're going to keep walking yourself in and lifting the hips up without squeezing your bum. You got 2 more big breaths. It's a big back bend. So quad stretch. It's huge for releasing issues caught in our big tissues. When you finish your second exhale, you'll drop your hips down. You're going to come forward nice and slow. Plant the hands and lift into down dog. Trust me on this one. Shorten your dog. If down dog is too tough for the wrist still. This way we lengthen our spine and straighten our legs at the same time. And it should feel really good. Push the ground away with your hands and plug your shoulder blades into their sockets. Pull your navel in and up on the exhale. I'll invite you to stay for 2 to 5 more breaths. And then we'll walk through to a seat. So if you're staying in down dog, you'll catch up to us when you're ready. If you want to come down to a seat, you can bring your legs forward and through your hands, or you can drop into table and then come to a seat. So explore that in the way that's going to work out best for you. Legs are going to come out long in front, and we're going to take the right leg and bend it, top of the foot down, and we're going to try and get those hips level. That's the first step. So if your hips aren't level, your knees are probably going to need to come apart, or you're going to have to prop up your left hip on a pillow or a blanket. Inhale the arms up nice and tall, and just take a few breaths here. Holding our arms in the air is a great way to strengthen our torso and get with the dancer's frame. We get good at holding our muscles up. They learn to do that. If we just practice slouching, that's what they learn. So we're going to come into a forward fold. You could bring your hands down first and use them to walk you in. Now everybody's going to come into this fold differently. And I've been working on this one for about a year. Last year, I couldn't sit upright without a block. I'd fall right over onto my left side. So remember that continuity of practice brings change. In this fold, you can either keep your spine long and really active, moving forward to the crown of your head and rooting through your tailbone. You could also go somewhat passive and round in and let your left foot fall out. Just be aware of what you're doing. I think that's the most important part. If you're looking to create change and you're always going passive, you're going to miss your chance to change. And if you're trying to change and you're constantly activating, you're missing those soft spots that allow room for growth. Take 2 more breaths. And then we're going to lean back. So we tried this with one leg or with both legs bent already. So now we know how far we can go with 2 legs. How about 1? Now here's a suggestion. Bend your left knee and plant your left foot somewhere near your right knee. Now see if you can lower down onto your elbows. If you can lay the heck down, just lay the heck down. You don't listen to all this. But then I found that I could push into my left foot and square my hips off. And then eventually I could straighten the leg. And then it didn't torque on my pelvis. Because if your thighs are really tight, it's pulling your pelvis. And that's part of the hamstring issue. It's usually tight thighs and tight psoas. So everything on the front body gets short, tight. Everything on the back body gets long, tight. And so it's like a game of tug of war. The only way to win this game of tug of war is to stretch out the short, tight, and let the long, tight stop stretching. The problem with that is it's counterintuitive. When we become long, tight in the back body, it feels good to fold. That's where it seems like the release is. But what we really need is to open up our front body. 2 more breaths. Take your time to relax into them. And when you decide you're ready to peel yourself up, you're going to slowly lift yourself. Some of us didn't go back very far, so it'll be a short lift. You can grab your ankle and take your leg forward, and that will help maintain the integrity of your knee if you're worried about knee issues. If you've got to show this leg some love, take some time before you switch sides. Otherwise, left leg bends. And we start to set it up on side B, sitting tall. Noticing where our knees are going to go. And then if our hands can lift up. Taking 3 to 5 rounds of your breath lifted. Sit heavy into both sit bones. Relax your shoulders down. Breathe into your belly. And then there's a forward fold, taking your time to get there. Noting that this side might be a very different forward fold. Don't forget during this learning process of your body to breathe in love and breathe out kindness. Knowing we have the ultimate checks and balance system because we're human. So we get this lovely gift called forgiveness. Tricky part with forgiveness is you got to practice it. You got to use it. Let's not be stingy with our forgiveness and our love. Let us be that compassion we want to see in the world. It happens internally, not externally. When you're ready to take this back to the extent your hips will let you, then you're going to lean back. And if you like to try the bent knee thing, bend your right knee and plant your right foot. And if you can lay all the way down, of course, lay all the way down. How far do you get? What's stopping you? Where is that issue stuck? Relax your jaw. Soften your belly. Just be and let it release. I think we have about 2 more breaths, but you'll be the judge of that. We're going to meet on our backs. If laying down and releasing your leg won't work, or if you're seated, you're going to release the leg. And when you come onto your back, put your knees in. So that left leg might need some time out to get some circulation back behind the knee. Once you get both knees hugged in, just give yourself a little rock and roll. It might feel really good to go super duper slow. Or you might have that energy today that you need to go a little faster, or add in some figure eights. Learning to honor our true nature can be challenging because we're taught constantly to ignore it and not do what it says unless it agrees with what we're supposed to do. This cognitive dissonance creates a lot of emotional baggage for us. We're going to keep your knees in, but we're going to bring the knees directly over the hips and flex our feet and hands behind the head. So it looks like we're sitting in a chair that tipped over. You're going to try and keep your low back committed to the floor. And on your next exhale, you're going to bring your nose up towards your knees. And I really want you to think about bringing your chest towards your knees and your nose to the ceiling. Wait for the next inhale and slowly lower back down. Good. Let's do it again. Exhale, lift up, squeeze your belly. Try to bring your chest towards your knees and your nose to the ceiling. Elbows out to the corners of the room, shoulders in their sockets. Wait for the next inhale. Lower down. Exhale, lift. Hold for a full round of breath. That's an inhale and an exhale. And then on your next inhale, lower down. I'm going to recommend 3 more. But you can do as many as you think you have. So if 1 is enough, fantastic. If you're going to need 10, take 10. But I'd rather you focus on the breath, the form, than a number. Taking care of our bodies is challenging in today's world. When you hit your magic number, you're going to hug the knees in and either move into bridge pose, spinal twist, Maybe you want a candlestick or shoulder stand. But you're going to get about 8 breaths. So if you're twisting, 4 to 5 breaths on each side. If you go up into bridge pose, why not try 8 breaths up? And if you go for candlestick or shoulder stand, same thing. Put your legs up for about 8 breaths. And if you decided you want to crunch until Shavasana, go ahead. But where did that desire come from? Why do you want to do that? To untangle all this belief system that has been programmed in us. It starts by looking deep inside. Deep divers, I heard some energy talker call it. Dive deep, energy worker. Why do you feel the need? Our next meeting place will be Shavasana, so take your time. If you took candlestick or shoulder stand, I'm going to assume you knew your counter poses. And once you commit to laying still in your Shavasana rest, try to let the breath go. We'll take rest together as a group, and then I'll bring us back so we can conclude our practice together. Knowing that extended Shavasana is always offered. Take your time getting to that final place of relaxing. Breathe in love. And breathe out kindness. Slowly begin to bring your awareness back to this moment. There's no rush. Take your time with your wake up process. Stretching the body long is a great one. It allows for a little back bend, and that energizes us. It's one of the reasons we stretch in the morning. Lengthen the spine and we get the energy flowing. This little guy, little Sarge. So stretching and breathing and hugging with awareness. If you choose to lift yourself up to a comfortable seat, then we'll meet with our hands together in front of our heart, bowing into our own greatness. And here we offer love and kindness, forgiveness, and peace. I thank you so much for joining me today on this journey. Namaste.